What if your trial lasted one day and your life depended on a lawyer who barely spoke? That was the reality for 9 Black teenagers in Alabama in 1931. The case became known as the Scottsboro Boys. They were accused of assaulting 2 white women on a train. Within days, they were arrested, indicted, and rushed to trial. The courtroom was surrounded by hostility. The defense was unprepared, and death sentences came quickly. At the time, there was no clear constitutional guarantee that states had to provide effective legal counsel in capital cases. Now, let that sit. Your life could depend on whether someone felt like assigning you a lawyer. The case reached the Supreme Court as Powell v. Alabama. In 1932, the court ruled that in capital cases, defendants must be given access to counsel and adequate time to prepare a defense. It was a major step in defining due process. But notice the pattern. The right to meaningful representation became constitutional only after Black teenagers were rushed toward execution. Quick power check. Criminal trials happen in state courts, but the Constitution sets the floor for fairness. When states fail to meet that floor, the Supreme Court can intervene. Now, that tension between state power and constitutional protection is still alive today. Powell helped establish the principle that legal representation must be real, not symbolic. But there's a deeper question. If the Constitution grants the right to counsel, who controls access to the profession? Because a right on paper depends on a profession in practice. Who gets admitted to law school? Who passes the licensing exam? Who is trained to interpret the Constitution? And whose lived experience is treated as credible? The law expanded the right to representation, but at the same time, the standards for becoming a lawyer were becoming more formal, more standardized, and more tightly controlled. Tomorrow, we're stepping back to examine how legal education evolved, how curriculum hardened, how testing became central, and how the gates to the profession shifted as Black Americans demanded entry. Because rights are one thing, access to power is another. Your voice matters. Use it in 2026.